the beautiful city of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And let's go ahead and wait here. I'm gonna wait for a few people to come on. I'm gonna start talking about what's going on with the Cassie Ventura thing. As some of you may have heard, some recent lawsuits have just come out, or a recent, especially lawsuit. It's a brother who was working, who had been hired by Sean Combs to come and be a part of his disgusting sexcapades courts. And now he's coming out with a lawsuit that is actually naming Cassie Ventura. So let's see who comes on. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. Let's see, let's see. Let's get some music going. All right, some music that's not gonna get my video taken down. Let's see what we can find here. No, ma'am. Nope. I hope everybody's having a beautiful Thursday. Getting over that hump, getting towards the end of the week. Let's see. I don't know about this music. No, ma'am. So basically, we're gonna go ahead and just get into it because it doesn't look like too many people are gonna pop on right this minute. But basically, a gentleman at former escort. I think he's in law school now, but he was a ex-worker. He was a male escort at one time. A brother by the name of Clayton Howard has come out naming not only Sean Combs in a lawsuit, but also Cassie Ventura in a lawsuit in which he says that, and I have to see what all of what he's saying specifically they did, but how they used him and misused him over the course of 8 years as an ex-worker who was participating in these freak-offs. Basically, Sean Combs would hire him to come out and service Cassie and do what he liked to watch being done to Cassie because of just whatever insecurity he had about his male part and whatever weird, kinky stuff he had going on. So that's what he liked to do. And this guy worked for them for 8 years. And he was also very upset with Cassie because he said Cassie passed on an STD to him knowingly. So he thinks she did it knowingly. And so that is like one of his issues with Cassie herself. But according to him, Cassie was a willing participant. She loved everything that was going on. She participated. He claims, chide Sean Combs and make Sean Combs feel bad because he wasn't endowed and just acted like he just spoke about Cassie as if she was just some sex fiend that just was down for whatever, wanted to be in these disgusting events and these disgusting parties all the time. And like she wasn't an actual woman who had body parts and who had, like a soul. No woman is going to be wanting to be involved in no stuff like that, ongoing like that. She might have had a moment where she was interested in a little freaky escapade or something like that, but nobody's going to be wanting to be in no marathon, long term, having sex with different dudes over and over again for hours and days at a time. Nobody. And so, and I think a lot of these dudes, they get in their head that she just was a freak like that. One, because they just, she's a beautiful woman, so a lot of them, and they like freaks, most of these dudes, that's what they like, that's what they want anyway. And then at the end of the day, it's more of that red pill, oh, well, women just love the penis. They think women are just going crazy over penis, right? So, which is so not a fact. But that's how a lot of them reason out the fact that, she was coerced, she was beat, she tried to say she didn't want to be bothered and didn't want to do the events no more and these freak offs, and he would whoop her tail and drag her back and have all of his goons drag her back to what she was supposed to be doing, get back to work, basically, was his mentality. So yeah, they are coming for Cassie. Now, I feel really bad for Cassie because she put herself out there on a limb, initiating and busting things open with the civil suit. I mean, obviously that was very much money oriented, so she definitely was trying to get paid. But she must not have had no kind of anyone giving her counsel on what would happen if she opened up the civil suit and all of the things she was accusing Sean Combs of. Because it's just opened up a can of worms, and it's a can of worms that's coming back on her now. Because now she was involved in all these dirty deeds, and all her secrets are out, and she's had to stand take the stand and testify. And now you got more stuff coming out. So now she done already did all her testimony. She went off, had her baby. She's got her 30 million or whatever. And now more people are coming out. They want to take that money from her that she got from Sean Combs. They're like, oh, she came up, but she wasn't no angel in all of this. We about to get her too. And so it's like, I wonder how many more people after this Clayton Howard person are going to start coming for Cassie Ventura. Like, how much of this money is she actually going to really be able to keep? Because, honey, Cassie, man, they coming for her, my son. The stories that this Clayton Howard guy has been telling, disgusting, horrible stories. And he was even on Tasha K. He went on Tasha K. And you know, Tasha K hates women. You know, she gonna talk some shit about some women and try to make all women look like whores. And she's a victim shamer. She's all the things, right? I ain't never seen her do anything in defense of a woman, right? But she definitely had a real interesting talk with him and loved hearing him tell stories. And he was telling stories like it did not look good for Cassie Ventura. I feel bad for her, the sis, because she did put herself out there and she's had to face so much public scrutiny. And now it's like more and more stuff is coming out that's making her look like, you know, she was more complicit and more involved than she was. She was under a type of mind control with Sean Combs. So there was things that she was doing that I'm sure she didn't mastermind, and I'm sure she wouldn't have been doing had she been in her right mind. But between, you know, being heavily influenced, under the influence of substances, thanks to Sean Combs, and being under his mind control, thanks to the substances and his ability to mind control people, and just her being young and dumb, she got caught up out there, and she was making moves and doing things that I'm sure she never would have been doing on her own accord, right? I ain't saying these girls are some angels and they don't be out here doing stuff, but what I'm saying is I highly doubt she would have got caught up in this way just on her own accord. She definitely got coerced and influenced in all of this mess, and now it's just coming back to haunt her. So it's a very sad, and it's also a cautionary tale, because a lot of people think that they can do what they want to do and it's just going to disappear, and it's like, it don't work like that. Your past will come back for you. It will come back to haunt you. I don't care if you did it 10, 20, 30 years ago. You'll look up and that stuff will be popped back up to haunt you. So it is a cautionary tale. We're going to sit here and watch. And I hope, you know, things lighten up for Cassie and she could just go off and live her life. I do feel like she was definitely a victim given the circumstance of her age and the influence and the fact that she was an employee of Sean Combs, period. I mean, that's the thing that people just seem to just miss. They just don't want to talk about the fact that she was his employee, that he was an older man that basically was controlling her career, that she never could get off the ground all the way, that she had 10 album deals signed with this guy. He was her employee. His job was to, you know, to make her music career pop. But he never wanted to do that with her. He always just saw her as something he wanted to control and turn into his sex doll and his toy. And that's exactly what he did with her. And so now she's got these snakes and these people coming out that, you know, it's okay for this Clayton Howard guy. I'm not going to call him nothing because at the end of the day, he can tell his story like everybody else can, right? But what's ironic to me is that this was a guy who was willingly coming over, taking pay to do some dirty work and to be, you know, in these swinger situations with Cassie and them. And now he want to come out and be like, oh, you gave me something, you this and that, which pretty hard to prove somebody, you know, who gave you what. And especially you with already an escort, we don't know who else you was messing with without protection. Don't nobody know nothing about this guy. He has no proof. He's just coming out, you know, saying a bunch of nasty stuff about Cassie and really focused on her. So he will emphasize, yeah, Sean Combs is a piece of shit and never, we know that. He definitely beats women. We know all that. But his whole purpose has been to come on and defame and talk shit and slander Cassie Ventura. And that's all he's been doing from Tosh K to every program he's been on. It's kind of gross. It makes you wonder if Sean Combs has paid, or his camp has somehow paid this guy to do this, because it just don't make no sense. So we'll see what happens with that, because you know Sean Combs's camp has been out here paying and doing all kinds of stuff to sway things over the last week. I heard that his camp paid out over $60,000 to content creators. So remember, we seeing all the content creators that had all this zeal and they fighting for Sean, and they want to defend the name of Sean Combs, and they were outside the trial and outside the trial, the court, and going off on each other and popping off and fighting and attacking Tisa Tells and attacking BJ from that surprise witness, and all of the things that was happening at that time. Now come to find out that Sean Combs was potentially paying, or not even potentially, it looks like allegedly his was paying people by, and I heard more so by paying for them to have transcripts. So the transcripts for each day that they had trial were like $500 to $1,500 every single day. And you know, people like Tisa Tells was getting the transcripts by having her follower, her subscribers send her money so she could go get them, supposedly. And that's the way they were able to give so much more detailed information, right? But but yeah, so they were paying for people to have transcripts, you know, so basically giving people something that costs $500, $1,500 every day. Certain people that would speak highly and speak positively about Sean Combs. And so, you know, they've been manipulating, they've been had their hands in things, they've been doing PR campaigns. And now it looks like they are probably trying to slander, you know, the victims, particularly Cassie Ventura, because Cassie Ventura is a public figure. You know, she is, you know, a public facing figure. It's not like she's like the Jane Doe chick who is a wannabe and basically has been relegated to being, I think, what is the rumor that she's been working in, you know, the X industry and in that capacity for years, you know, before she had the baby with you know who and all of that. So, you know, we're not talking about her, we're talking about Cassie Ventura. And Cassie Ventura is an actual victim, but yeah, she's being slandered bad right now, y'all. That Clayton Howard video where he's talking to Tasha K about it and giving all the sordid, nasty details. Like, her sex life is under major scrutiny right now. It's crazy. I don't even know. And you know, it's almost like a sacrifice, because on one hand, she brought so much to light. She opened the gates for all of this stuff to start to come out about Sean Combs, and hopefully more of these horrific people that are in the industry that are doing all these things, of Clive Davises, all of these people with their handlers and all the whole industry. I hope more and more comes out from this. But you know, she opened the door for so much stuff to happen and to come out. But here she is sacrificing, and you know, now her whole privacy is just completely shot. Now she just is like, we'll see what happens with her, you know, because I feel so bad for her. She's remarried. She's trying to move on with her life, but it doesn't look like she's gonna be able to do that, even with all this money and wealth that she has, because now people are seeing her as a mark and as a target, you know, because she spoke, and now she's under attack because she spoke and she made herself vulnerable to the public. So I feel for the sister, boy. I really, really do. I hope that she can just lay low and just go take care of her baby and be with her husband. I mean, I'm assuming her husband knew a lot of the sordid details and none of this was a major shock to him. Because if not, you know, this could potentially put pressure on them, on their marriage and their union, as he's hearing about all these escorts and people coming out the woodwork saying she did this and she did that and she burnt me. And oh my God, what a nightmare. Like, even the money wouldn't even be worth this. That's why I'm like, damn, she opened up some stuff, my son. Like, I hope she's strong. I hope she's got the fortitude to get through this, because now it's like all her businesses in the street. She has children that's going to be on this internet in just a few years, looking up stuff, finding out stuff about their mama. What a nightmare. Really, really and truly. Like, this internet, you cannot cleanse stuff off of here. It's there. Like, once it's there, it's there. It's there. You can't just make it go away. I'm like, oh my God. I do not know what is going to be happening for this sister. But yeah, so that's it. So yeah, if y'all want to, I mean, check out that Clayton Howard interview. Check out The mess this guy is saying. I'm gonna probably come up here and play some of it later. I'll come on live and I'll just play some of his video and what he's talking about. And just, let y'all hear this guy talk. Because, I mean, he is a storyteller, honey. But what a terrible person. Like, oh my God, not a terrible person. I hate to say that because, at the end of the day, anyone who feels like they were victimized deserves to come and speak about it. Man, woman, whoever it is, at least speak about it. They might not get justice. They might not be believed. None of those things may be the case, but they should be able to express themselves and get it out. So if he feels like he was victimized, which we need to go into some of the details of what he's saying, he, exactly that he's suing for. Let me see if I can pull that up right quick because this Clayton Howard guy, yeah. He's a male escort allegedly hired by Diddy and has filed a lawsuit against Diddy and Cassie claiming that Cassie gave him an STD. Oh, the other piece was he said that she aborted a pregnancy that had taken place with him and I didn't let him know about it. And she continued to have, unprotected sex with him. So Howard alleges he was trafficked. So now he's using the trafficking thing, which is exactly what that is, for over 5 years. So it's 5 years, not 8, starting in 2009 for commercial sex, manipulated with drugs, resulting in physical and psychological harm. Federal prosecutors mentioned Howard and Diddy's trial, where Diddy was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking, but convicted of transporting escorts across state lines for prostitution. So basically, he's saying that he was ugged and manipulated, but then he don't have no kind of sympathy for the fact that Cassie was, even more drugged and even more, she was constantly being drugged. She was constantly off. So he's going to come on and be slandering this person who was an obvious victim of all kinds of shit, even though she might have acted like she liked the little encounters in bed sometimes. He going to come on, slander this girl so bad, and then now come back with a lawsuit saying that he was drugged and manipulated. Like he can't see that he was a victim, she was a victim, everybody involved in anything with Sean Combs ended up being victimized because this guy was manipulating, because he was forcing substances into people. He was giving them things they didn't even know they were getting. He was, using mind control techniques on them. He was, doing all kinds of stuff, using his money and power as leverage over them. So these are the things that it's just ironic to me that he's suing about the same things that Cassie was suing about, but then he want to take her victimization away from her as if any of them were angels. Because I'm sorry, any man who's participating as an ex-traffic, the ex-worker is not no angel either. So and not none of them was doing clean and doing things clean, but. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just ironic, but it's all the victim blaming, and it just makes me think that he was hired or that Sean Combs and them have pushed him out into the forefront. Because what in the world? You are suing Cassie Ventura, who's just now getting to go rest with her babies and stuff after all this crazy shit that she opened up and bust open so that other victims could speak, even though she didn't get vindicated by this first trial. And you're going to come out and then also be suing based upon the same stuff that happened to her, drugging, trafficking, all the things that she was suing for. And now here we go. But she's not a victim, though. She liked it. She was good. She was a part of it. She masterminded it, too, which we know is a whole bunch of BS. One thing we know, this did not come from the mind or heart of Cassie Ventura, though she participated in it. This was not her thing. And a lot of times with young girls and young women and women in general, it's not even an age thing. They have a thing of wanting to be people pleasers, okay? Women can be very codependent in that way. And so, she was probably doing a whole lot of people pleasing. She was young. She didn't know any better. She didn't know about boundaries, personal boundaries. We have no idea what she saw growing up. She might have seen domestic violence. We don't know what she even witnessed growing up that made her push out into the world and have such a poor sense of boundaries. Because, I mean, that is what I see more than anything. She was victimized and she didn't have any personal boundaries. Okay, she just wanted to be a people pleaser. She wanted to please Diddy. Hi, Mariposa. True, I believe, but he's behind all of it. And so it's like one victim suing another victim. Like, bruh, just say, that you got caught up for 5 years, you were victimized too, and let Cassie be what she, you know what I'm saying, have what she has now. She's been through enough. This woman has 3 small children. She's already been through enough, my son. Like, I don't care. Not meeting no man at the age of 19 and signing a 10 album deal with him 2 years later, and also becoming his boo thing that he basically pimps out. You know what I'm saying? And you gonna say this girl was not a victim? That he was whooping, beating down. If she said she didn't want to do it that day, if she said she didn't want to do it in general, this dude was putting hands and feet on her. Okay? Hands and feet. Too many people have corroborated this. So I'm like, this is crazy. So basically, women can never be victims. You know what I'm saying? No matter what happens to them, it don't matter if niggas is threatening them with guns, knives, beat hands and feet. It does not matter. A woman can never really be victimized by a man. Because basically, what's underneath all of that is this thought that women are supposed to just do what a nigga tell them to do anyway. So if your man tell you to do this, if your man tell you to go take it from this dude over here, you need to go and do that. You shouldn't have no complaints, no wants, no desires, no nothing about it. You need to do what you're told. I mean, that's basically what's at the heart of this. And so they don't see no wrong in him beating her down, dragging her up and down, and doing all the stuff he was doing to put fear in her so that she will always be operating from fear. They don't see that as a problem. She probably did it because she loved Diddy. She, I mean, love is complicated. Like, it's hard to love a nigga that's, dragging you up and down. Is that real love? For me, it's more codependency is what a lot of women are dealing with. They didn't grow up well. They didn't have good models in the home. I'm not saying this is her. Her parents are still together, so that doesn't mean anything. But I'm just saying, a lot of women, they come out, they're young, kind of dumb. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand personal boundaries. They see the pretty girls that's out here being freaks and stuff, getting money, especially on OF and all of that. Back then, they didn't have that. But, I can't say it's love because love would never look nothing like what Cassie and Diddy shared. It was more like she signed record contracts with him for 10 albums. He was her boss. He was her manager. He paid for her housing, her living. He also used her for sex. He pimped her out. Like he had full control over her soul. And that, I don't know where the love will come. Like from my thought, I don't know where the love will come in. What I see is more she probably was fearful of him. She felt very entrapped in the situation. She was entangled. And at the end of the day, he held the key to the career that she super really wanted. A lot of people think just because Cassie wasn't no mega, amazing like vocalist and all of that stuff, that she really wanted her music career. She was really desperate for it. So she was sticking around for a number of reasons. Love, I mean, maybe she thought she loved him. While he made money off of her and used her. Girl, see, because when they sign these deals, the money has to come from somewhere. So Sean Combs probably has sister or parent companies that he was getting money from to do her albums or whatever. We don't know, but we know he had money, and that money did not get directed into the projects he was supposed to be doing with Cassie Ventura. And so again, the RICO thing, the misusing and the mismanaging of funds. So the money that he had that he was supposed to direct to Cassie, it looked to me like that was redirected towards these illegal ex parties he was having. You know what I'm saying? Illegal because he had ex-workers there and drugs were involved. Okay? They were illegal parties, not just kinky swinger situations. Okay? There was too much illegality happening inside of the context of, in the context of the whole situation to say it was just, just a little freaky, session between people. Illegal shit. So he was always breaking laws. He was always doing stuff he had no business doing. And she just got caught up and she was under that mind control straight up. You can't tell me. I know this guy has mind control over people because he had women working for him that were not his women by any means, not at all, that he was SAing, he was doing things to them and they still would not leave his establishment. They still were uncomfortable. He had so much control over people's lives that you had Mia, you had Capricorn Clark. Once they came into his web, they couldn't even get away because they were scared their whole life would be ruined just by not working for him anymore because they knew he had the power to also destroy their careers if they left. This man had a lot of power. Imagine how much he had over young ass Cassie. You know what I'm saying? Young Cassie, man. And it just makes me sick the way they done did her and drug her down, and now trying to destroy her and get that little money that she got, which that money ain't nothing. They could have kept that money. I would never have wanted to go through what she ended up going through for 10, 11 years. Not for no 30 million. Ain't no way, ain't no way. They were afraid of him, that he might hurt them or their loved ones. They were afraid of him, Mariposa. They were also very afraid about their careers. Remember, these were like, especially when we talk about the people that were working for the enterprise, the Mias, the Capricorn Clarks, those people, they wanted more than anything to be able to rise in their careers. They were in an industry that they thought was great. They were good at the jobs that they were doing. They knew there was a lot of money there, that they could create a good life for themselves if they could start getting paid well. Sean Combs didn't pay the women nothing, remember? So he paid men way differently than he paid women. A man hates women. He don't see value in women. And so he had those women there working for him, thinking that they were on a career trajectory. You know what I'm saying? And they had got caught up being scared that he would blacklist them, which he does do and has done, and blackball them and make it so that nobody wanted to F with them in the industry, like talking about, except maybe enemies of his. And then and then they were just also scared, especially like someone like Mia that he was essaying on a regular basis, supposedly, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Essaying this girl that's your employee. Like you doing that to your assistant, B? You doing that to anyone, but you're doing that to someone who's there trying to hold your enterprise together, and that you can't even control yourself. And then he wouldn't even talk about it or nothing. It was just like he needed to get one off in that moment. He would just go do that to her and then keep it moving. And here she couldn't still work for him 8 to 10 years or whatever craziness. That's what I'm saying. The dude was doing some major mind control on these people. I wonder if he had something to do with Kim. I mean, her stuff, Kim Porter's thing was looking real interesting and sad too, but it looked like she had been ugged. It looked like they had poisoned her. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the rumors are out there that they were putting stuff in her food or putting stuff in her drinks for a while, like lacing her stuff. Because the way her death went down, it was real weird. And then subsequently after that, all these, the people that were surrounding, the coroners and all the people that were surrounding and were supposed to give the autopsy reports and all that, these people start coming up dead. It was more than one. Doctors disappearing, doctors coming out of nowhere, showing up on the scene and asking other more official doctors to go away so they could come in and say that she died from this and she died from that. Like, nothing about her death was clean. Nothing made any sense. Not to mention, they say he had already had her casket picked out way beforehand. So I think we know what's happening there. And it's a lot of bodies. It's a lot of people. That's very sad that he would think to do something potentially to, the woman that had provided him with what shit. How many kids? 3 children, right? Gave him 3 children and shit, 17, 15 years, of him destroying her life because all she wanted to do was get away from his ass. She was locked in. That's what I'm saying. The mind control. She was locked in. He hurt a lot of folks. He did so much damage to so many people, man. Like, so many lives. And you got to think, when you hurt someone, you don't hurt an individual. You like, when you really do major damage, where you turn people into ex-slaves and all this other stuff, when you do that kind of stuff, um, it reverberates, you know what I'm saying? It affects them, it affects their families, their children, their communities. So he doesn't hurt individuals, he hurt whole communities. And that's what my thing is this dude has been running rampant in the so-called black community, doing so much. And not even just black. I mean, look, Cassie, I mean, I don't know what you would call her, but Cassie, Mia, all the people that he's done major harm to, that have long-term CPTSD now from having dealt with this guy. You know what I mean? Their lives are ruined. They can't work right, can't do nothing right. You got males, you got females, you got people he's SA, that he's ugged. You got, 70, 80 civil suits out there. This guy's done a lot of dirt. I do believe he used Justin as well, his son Justin. Well, these children were raised by a demon. So, and he put all his special energy towards them boy children so that they would be like him in his likeness, of course. So I would say they're probably very much similar to him. I think, especially the ones that have his blood, the 2, Christian and Justin, supposedly Justin, are very much, of his same ilk. He raised them to be like him. The one that was Kim Porter's son, Albie Shure's son, I think, always had kind of a mind of his own when it came to those kind of things. I don't think we don't know though, we'll see. But for sure, we haven't heard anything about Quincy having participated in some of this sick, twisted stuff. Maybe because he's not of that evil bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some kind of evil that's coursing through Sean Combs's line. Okay, look at the mom. You know, the mom who's probably at the heart of all of this. So yeah, some wicked shit. But I'm just sitting up. I'm waiting to see what happens. I just pray, that Cassie will be protected and can go on with her life. Maybe this will be the only lawsuit that drops. It's questionable. We'll see. But I will say, there was plenty of the male escorts that participated in the trial that did testify, and you know, more or less they kind of corroborated Cassie and what a lot of what she was saying. It wasn't like they were, blaming her. I mean, they definitely seen her getting smacked around and beat up and different things that was happening to her in the course of her being coerced into these freak offs and stuff. So, at the end of the day, I'm hoping no more will be trying to come out and gain off of her, because I feel like she's already lost so much. She's got to let people go forward with their lives, man. Pray for Cassie. Thank you, Mariposa. Like, leave that girl alone. She already done it. She knows the mistakes she made. She knows the bullshit she did. She knows she was being controlled mentally and was people pleasing and being codependent on this man who was controlling and destroying her. She has already had to be dealing with the consequences of that and going to therapy and doing the things she's had to do to stay off of drugs. This woman was addicted to opioids and addicted to hardcore drugs, man. She was a straight junkie. He turned her into a junkie. You gonna sit here and tell me you don't have no sympathy for somebody who was being drugged? The minute like they started hanging out together, he was pushing pills in her mouth. She done already had enough. Child, that girl, leave this woman alone. Let her go be with her family. Leave her alone. Leave Cassie Ventura alone. I don't care. So so yeah, she made her mistakes. That girl already being tormented in her head with all the crap that she was doing, the ways that she was complicit, the way she was participating in her own destruction and the destruction of other people, the way they were using and misusing and abusing other sex workers and people that were participating in these. She's already being tormented with all that stuff. I guarantee you. Sean Combs, not so much. He don't have a soul. He's like a psychopath. I doubt he feels guilt about anything. But her, I know that she is already suffering enough. I know she's already suffering enough. And then you have those people that have gone through things with them, like Clayton Howard, and he's just like, oh, she don't deserve all that money after, the fact of what he thinks or he is saying she did to him, in terms of potentially aborting a baby of his and also giving him an STD, which are the claims that he's making, which I think are going to be pretty hard to prove. How much do they expect her to take? I know. It's sad, but this is the life of a woman on this planet. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody thinks you can take the pressure and pain of the world on your head, on your shoulders, or they just don't care if you do or not. They don't care if you break. And so she has to really gonna have to disconnect herself, I think, and really just go and focus and be very insular with family and loved ones, to cut out the noise of all these people that are talking shit about her and, turning her into a monster right alongside Sean Combs, who was her handler, who was controlling the shit out of her. She was being handled, man. Cassie gone through a lot already. She has to live with all that he done to her the rest of her. All that he did and all that she allowed him to do and all that she participated in. You know what I mean? Because her hands are not clean. And all of that, but we understand with the abuse and the trauma bonding and the Stockholm syndrome that she was doing things to appease him. She was doing these things to appease him because he was the master controller over her world. You know what I'm saying? Sadly, that's how I think she saw it, that she had a 10-album deal with this man who she didn't know he was going to turn into this monster and then get her hooked on drugs and just have her out there doing crazy stuff and never even recording or working with her musically and helping her to push forward with that. He helped her for a little while just to make it look like he was doing something. And then after a while, it was like all they were doing was the freak offs. That's it. She was a straight ex-worker for this dude. You know what I'm saying? But she was in traffic though, right? according to that pretend fake ass jury that they had. She wasn't affect. She wasn't moved from place to place forcibly and under coercion. You know what I'm saying? Or even just fraud, straight up fraud, coercion, and force. Those are the three ways that you can traffic someone. And they say that none of those applied to Cassie Ventura. Everything she did was under her own volition. He was much older, but you notice he paid all the guys with his money. Yeah. Well, she had to pay. Yeah, he always wanted your hands dirty. He always wanted you involved. That was the way he was protecting himself. So he would always have her, he would have her setting up the events, setting up the parties, finding the dudes, doing all the things, going on the black market, looking for these cowboys and angel guys and getting them to come out. Like he always wanted your hands dirty. That's why he made sure everyone around him got their hands dirty and got up in some mess that he could come back and it would reflect bad on them and it would discredit them because you were doing dirt too. You must have liked it. You wanted to be there. You were there doing dirt right alongside this dude. But he was a mastermind. This was his establishment. It was his enterprise. It was his. They didn't want to say it was his Rico, but it was his. It was his Rico enterprise. Everything was about him. Do what Sean Combs wants. Do his bidding. Do what he wants. So we're going to see. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of tired of him and talking about him. I hope that some superseding indictments do come forward, but we'll see. We really don't know. That rumor is going around. Gene Deal has been spreading that one. We don't know what's coming. All we can do is hope that if anything, the judge in this situation has seen through all this crap, sees the failure of the jury system in this situation, and at least, tries to stack his charges and his time as much as possible so that he has to serve as much as the judge can kind of rightfully assign to him. And with the feds, you do have to, you don't get out on good behavior. I think you have to serve 80 to 85% of your whatever your term is, whatever your jail sentence is, your prison sentence. I kind of believe he got to the jury, paid them under the table. There was a lot of points in the trial where it was like, what's going on with this jury? Like, you had the one that was lying to get on the jury, and then they kicked them off. Then you had another one that said they were getting texts talking about, are you juries? Then you had the one that at the last minute, at the last hour, at the 11th hour, they just went back to deliberate and they an hour later talking about this dude doesn't want to follow the rules. He don't want to do this right. He's not even thinking about the law and the rubrics that we've been given in order to judge this thing. So you had so much going on with that jury. It looked like straight jury tampering to me. Straight up jury tampering. Because believe me, that man still has money. He can still get to people. So, and then all of a sudden, you got the crazy juror who comes out on, what was he on, NBC? He wasn't even a real juror. He was one of the stand-ins. So if they needed to bring a new juror in, he was an extra, a replacement juror. He gonna come out talking about, oh, we knew they were trying to set up Sean Combs. It was a takedown. The way he was talking about the whole thing had nothing to do with the legality of what had been accused of. It was just like, wow, what is this? This guy was on the jury? This is the mentality of someone that was on the jury? And then he was speaking from the standpoint of him having been talking to other jurors and feeling like they felt the same as him, that this was a takedown, that these people weren't trafficked, that these women, nothing really happened to them, they were just some freaks. That, you know what I'm saying, the only thing he did was move male prostitutes across state lines because it was all about the males. The only thing he got convicted on was anything that had allegedly been done to men. Anything having to do, but peep game. The prostitution charges were for the male escorts. I don't think those were charges. Well, no, those were probably, I don't know. I mean, those were technically for Jane Doe and for Cassie, I think. So that was all he got, was for basically, moving them, the Mann Act. So basically moving them over state lines and stuff like that, which he definitely did a lot of. But then the trafficking is a different aspect of that because it has to do with the force and the coercion and the fraud, which he was engaging in all of that. But nobody saw it. And then you had the guy, the juror alternate coming out like, oh no, we just saw they were trying to take this dude down, and we Now, mind you, he was under oath and definitely was not supposed to be talking publicly about talking public or talking to the other jurors. That was part of the rules and instructions of the juror. They were not supposed to talk back and forth to each other. So how are you now coming on the news speaking out for the jurors in mass, all of them saying that we thought and know most of us weren't really feeling her testimony and talking shit about Don Richard, and she was weak, and when the defense went after her in the cross examination, they destroyed her, and it was amazing to watch. And I mean, he was talking so much crap. I was like, wow, these are the people that were on the jury? If he is a reflection of the other people on the jury, then you had a group of idiots in there that don't know the law. So all we can really hope for is that the judge who does know the law and has not shown, I mean, he's been fair, but you can tell he don't care nothing about that defense and Diddy's team. So hopefully, and it's not about what he feels anyway, but hopefully he will apply the law in the strongest way possible to keep this guy locked up as long as possible, with hopefully more indictments coming down the line for all of the other crap that he's done. There's some rumors allegedly right now out that they're going to be trying to bring up some of the pew-pew charges, because you know he had all them illegal guns in the house. Did nobody hear about them? He didn't get them, though. They wasn't prosecuting him on none of them gun charges. What happened with that? So we know about the illegal scratched off guns, totally illegal, cannot be in your home. And we know guns can be in your home, but they can't have scratched off serial numbers. And we're talking about heavy artillery, serious machine gun type stuff, crazy stuff. And then um, they're saying that maybe some UG charges will be coming down the line for him. So we're hoping now, even though there are 10-year sentences for the prostitution charges, they can only, because remind you, he is not a felon. He don't have no misdemeanors. The man has a clean record despite all the time he has spent on trial for this and that. So because of how he scores, they can only give him like up to like 5 years, I think, maybe per charge. So yeah, I mean, he can't get the 20. He's not going to get the 20, but I'm hoping they'll at least be able to stack a couple of 5s on him, and then he has to serve 80% of that, and they're going to appeal, and they're going to go crazy and do everything they can. But hopefully they can at least hold his ass in prison for a good 10 years. By that point, I mean, he's been doing so much damage to his body and destroying himself so much that, who knows if he'll even make it, right? But at least keep him, like, contain that beast. And that's what we have to hope for, is that they contain that beast. So yeah, a lot of people damaged, and a lot of people scared that he'll get out and just be out here wilding, calling shots again. I mean, he can call shots from prison, but calling shots, having people taken out, having people ugged, slow deaths, make it look like they died from pneumonia, like his baby mama. You know what I mean? Like, people are scared. They're scared to see him free. They're scared that he's been able to keep his money, that he can call in favors, that he can pay to have, things done to people. It's just really, like, I don't envy any of these people that's come across this man or had him around their energy at all. You think about the people who were just like on the outside of things, like the Tiffany Reds, Cassie's friend that witnessed so much stuff and all that, Like, I wouldn't have wanted to even been on the periphery of knowing him. Like, horrible. Like, what a nightmare. It just shows you what a nightmare that industry can be, and how much horrible stuff and how much negativity and stuff that he's brought to the lives of everybody that worked for him, that was signed to him. Everyone left broke. Everyone left jacked up. Only a few of them could negotiate themselves out of these horrible deals with this guy. I think Mary J. Blige was able to get from up under him without severing ties. I don't know what they had, but they seem to never have really fallen out. But yeah, pretty much destroyed everybody he came into contact with. They either ended up dead or broke, having to fight for their careers, and you know what I mean? Very bad dude. Very, very bad dude. So yeah, y'all, we're going to see what happens. Thank you for coming on, Mariposa. Thank you for joining in the chat. You Ain't Ready Part 2. Appreciate you guys. Can you guys drop some likes on the video? Because, man, it's hard. But, we are here in Brazil. So I always say at the end of my videos, you know, if anyone is interested in moving to Brazil, coming to Brazil, anything like that, touring, I live in Sao Paulo and I know different regions of Brazil. So I am setting up tours and support systems for people who are looking to move away from America because a lot of people are leaving America right now. Hit me up. I'll have my links below. I also have some ebooks and things about, you know, living abroad and moving abroad. So yeah, hit me up, y'all. I hope you guys have an amazing Thursday. Peace and love. Thank you.